Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday edition this week of A Flawed Man of God. And tonight we're going to be talking about Lent. But who am I to talk to you about this? Well, I'm a nobody. I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a biblical scholar. I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my congregation or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is discuss Christian topics, give you some insight and a glimpse into the life and thoughts and impressions of what I consider myself to be as a an average day to day Christian, just trying to seek God in whatever way I can best find. I don't subscribe to any specific doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the Word. That's the entire purpose behind what I do. So, if you are looking to start a relationship with Christ and you're just seeking some answers or seeking some sort of insight, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you here. If you are already a Christian and you just enjoy um, discussing or listening to Christian topics, also welcome. This show is for as just about anybody who is interested in hearing the ramblings or rantings of somebody like me who just has um, who just has a lot to say about Christ and using this as my opportunity without trying to force my beliefs down anybody's throat. This is a voluntary stream that you can always close out. But if you're seeking something and you want to find something with substance, that's what this is here for. And if you find something good in it, that's awesome. And that's what the entire purpose of this is. So if you like it, if you think it's something that you want to continue to listen to, by all means, please like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm also on Rumble now, but also Facebook and Twitter. You can follow me there. It's very easy, all across the board. A flawed man of God, and there I am. So, if you know anybody who you might think might be interested in hearing about the word, by all means, share it with them. Bring them on. If you have something you want to say and you happen to catch this show live, please chat. Put that those thoughts into the chat. I don't have a whole lot of followers right now, so if something strikes you while we're going through one of these streams, by all means, put it in there. I will read it and respond to it, and that's the whole purpose behind that aspect of it is for this to be interactive. This might be a flawed man of God talking, and that might be things from my perspective, but I definitely want to hear other people's perspective, thoughts and impressions, stories, how they're interpreting the different things. What you'll find on this show is bringing on guests to talk about different topics, me talking about topics myself, and also what we'll do in the meantime is a project that I'm working on where I'm reading through the Bible from cover to cover, Genesis to Revelation, a few chapters at a time, just giving my reaction as I read through it. I've read through it before, but if you the more you read through something, you always end up picking up things that you've missed, and you've always have kind of a different perspective just based on where you are in life when you read it. So as I'm reading through, I'm giving my impressions. I would love to get people's impressions that might differ from mine or agree, whatever it might be. That is the beauty of fellowship in Christianity is the sharing of ideas and a love for Christ. So, like I said, if this is something that interests you, welcome to the program. Now, I'm a little bit more detailed in that tonight than I usually am. I still have my normal diatribe that I roll through, but um, the purpose behind that was I've had some real blessings throughout my life, but recently in relationship to this show, I've had several guests come on who have really just added to the content here. First, um, we'll talk about Pastor Hans Feeney. He is from Lutheran Satire on YouTube. It's a hilarious channel. I highly advise going to check it out if you are somebody who is kind of based in scripture already and you kind of understand the church life. You will find much of it entertaining. You'll get some of his thoughts and feelings as well. He does a very good way. Sorry, he has a very good way of delivering a message in a thought provoking and funny way. At least it speaks to my sense of humor. Secondly, last night we had Billy Dyer on. Billy Dyer is the latest guest to come on, and he's one that I'm looking forward to doing more streams with. He came on last night to talk about apologetics. He's a very serious looking dude, but he is also very well learned, and he was the one who really just first broached the importance of apologetics in Christianity. And if you haven't checked out that stream from last night, I highly encourage you to do. It's an hour long stream, basically talking about apologetics as a result, mostly as it revolves around youth. And if you don't know what apologetics are, that's basically making the case for something. And in Christianity, it's making the case for Christ. Why is when somebody asks you, why does God exist? Having an answer, having a cogent answer, and he is much more educated in that than I am. I've only briefly dabbled in it. It is something that I want to get more into, but he is a good source for that, and he's a local. He's kind of a local guy. He preaches at some of the local churches, and he does a really good job making you look at the Bible in perspectives that maybe you haven't. And finally, I want to talk about my friend Eric Rollon. He did me, he did he did something very nice for me. He has been coming on. He is the first person I reached out to when I was thinking about bringing guests on. I saw him on a live stream. He seemed like he was really grounded in faith. I reached out to him on Twitter, just hoping to get some interaction. He was excited about what I had to offer and what I was explaining and what the mission of this live stream is. And he has become a regular contributor. He comes on every other Tuesday, and I'm just really glad to have him on because he just offers a great perspective. He's a great conversationalist, and we have a blast every time. But last night, he was on a live stream with a friend of mine, Nick Takeda, and he at the end he kind of gave me a soundbite for the show, and um, that was really nice of him. It was really nice of him, and I thank him. I thank him for the blessings. We've had a couple more subscribers since then. Like I said, it's very much a fledgling channel. I am closing in on 100 videos. I stream every weeknight ish, usually between 8 and 8:30. I get started, and I go about 30 to 45 minutes generally when I'm doing my biblical read throughs. Sometimes they're a little bit shorter, just depends on how things are going. I can stream all night. I could talk about God literally all night. It's just a great thing to do. So, what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, we're not going to be we're not going to be doing a Bible read through tonight. We are in the middle of Numbers, so I know that we are lacking in much narrative that exists in Numbers. So that we will be taking some breaks, like tonight. We'll be talking about Lent. Lent is not something I'm very familiar with, but it is something that is very familiar within many Christian circles. Now, when I think of Lent, I think of it mostly as a Catholic tradition, but it definitely exists in many Christian circles. I believe the Orthodoxy practices it as well, and you will find it in many Protestant circles. So, happy Ash Wednesday to everybody. I do not do that part, or never really thought about it. I don't have any ash marks on my head, but I do think, especially the more I get into living a Christian life, that I think that there is there is symbolic and real spiritual value in what goes on in Lent, in the idea of fasting for something in remembrance of and in honor of Christ, going without food and water for 40 days, and then somehow not breaking Satan's spine when he comes to tempt him. So if we talk about Christ entering into the wilderness, which we associate, if it's Israel, it's in the Mediterranean, out there near where Israel is today. But you think about the wilderness is in there, it's probably kind of a deserty area. There might be some trees or whatever, but it's not a whole lot. He's just walking around through there. At the end of 40 days, uh, dude has got to be starving, absolutely starving. I had to fast a couple of days ago or a couple of weeks ago for a medical procedure, and just because of the timing of it, between when my instructions told me to start fasting and when the procedure actually happened, I had to fast for 36 hours, and it was I was miserable. I like to eat, right? I love the whole experience of eating. It's a whole thing, right? I don't know what I would do if I lost the enjoyment of eating. I probably would just stop altogether. I rarely do it if I'm super hungry, but I was really hungry that during that time, very irritable, and got a whole lot more respect for people who fast on a regular basis. Now, because we were talking about that, I brought my friend Raph on. He is a Roman Catholic. Um, and he gave he gave a really good testimony behind the importance of fasting and how it's oftentimes spiritual exercising, how it's good for putting you in the zone and sacrificing and things like that. And I thought, wow, maybe this is something I should give more consideration to. I've never fasted in my life. I've been a Christian all my life. I am 39 years old. I have never it's never really something that has crossed my mind for myself, and I've heard other people doing it. It's just I don't wanna go without food. I don't wanna go without things, but I thought with Lent coming up today, or Lent coming up this year and doing the things that I do, it might be a good time to check it out and see what it's like. So I've got a couple of things on my list, that I'd like to try, giving up. Uh, it feels kind of like a New Year's resolution, right? But one of the things I think I'll give up is you're trying to give things up that take away from uh, take away from God, right? Take away from um, your walk with Christ. It might not be the best thing that you're doing. Might take away from focus. Might be you know you watching too much TV, playing too many video games. It might be a certain behavior that you shouldn't be doing. And so one of the things what I'm going to give up this year is I'm gonna give up spicy memes for Lent. And by spicy memes, some of you, especially if you follow Eric or or Nick, if you are folks of the who enjoy those that content that they're fans of, you kind of understand. If you are more of a normie, if you are more of a person who is has not been exposed to the humor of some of the more antisocial uh, corners of the internet, you might not understand, and you might be shocked about what an actual spicy meme is. I have a terrible sense of humor, and by that I don't mean that I don't find things funny. I find many things funny. I find probably too many things funny, and I was always like that so much as a kid, and so then you add a some army experience in there, and then spelunking through the internet, and it has only gotten worse over the years. I have shocked my wife sometimes by the things that I've shown her. Just cherry picking things that I know I can probably get away with, and I've still shocked her very much with the things that I find incredibly funny. That she finds just blatantly appalling. And she wants some things. She goes, one of the things is, "You think Jesus will be happy that you're laughing at this?" And I'm like, "No." The one of the things I'm going to have to explain more than anything else, when I'm called to judgment, is my meme collection. It is it's it's not and looking back on it, it's not really something I'm proud of, but it's something that I can't help it. I find it funny. These things are hilarious to me. I see it and I know it's wrong and I know it's dark, but I have a gallows humor. I just can't help but laugh. Can't help but laugh and share it with my buddies who also have similar senses of humor. And it's self-perpetuating because once you start sharing memes, the other person starts sharing memes with you. And now you have new memes, right? Unless they share stale memes that uh, you've already seen and either passed on or already have in your collection. You just haven't shared it with them. But you start sharing memes, so the thing just starts stockpiling on each other. Just keeps piling up and piling up and piling up until sooner or later you're sitting there going, I should not. There's no there's on earth, there's no excuse to be laughing at this. So I generally draw the line somewhat. I do draw the line about memes that are, about that are they're directly about Christ that would be somewhat offensive, and uh, that I kind of draw my line. Things are funny, things are funny, things are funny, and I really respected when Hans came in here to talk about humor. Um, and I asked him, I was like, "Do you use humor in your sermons?" He goes, "No." I use humor throughout throughout my life and in many different aspects, almost all aspects. But when I talk about God, I'm very serious. Now, I'm not to that level. I do laugh because I think that there are lots of funny things about it. But I'm also not up on the pulpit talking about it. And but I find much of what is in the Bible humorous at times. And that was one of the things. It seems like so much you find so little humor, actual humor in the Bible. It's a very serious document, but so many things happen in there that are funny. Uh, Proverbs is a big one. Proverbs is a big one where you'll find much humor in it, especially when you understand where Solomon is coming from when he's giving these proverbs. There's a lot of if you're involved in a relationship that you will either get offended at because he is talking. We Spoiler alert on Solomon. He has many um, wives and concubines, so he's got a lot of lady troubles. He's not James. He's not Jay Z. He has 900. He has 9,999 problems, and all of them are women related. It seems. So even some of the sins he commits further down the road are general. You can trace back to him not having control over himself and his harem, his palace, whatever. Anyway, we're getting off subject, but I do like. But there is a point in my humor where I stop, and I find that. But pretty much everything other than things about God or Jesus that are I would find derogatory towards them. Everything else is fair game for the most part. I laugh at myself, laugh at other people. It's all funny. Oh, also a lot of I don't like things people making fun of sick kids. Sick kids. That's another issue that I have. So that's what I'm going to do for the next 40 days at least. We'll see how that goes on. Maybe I'll be a better person at the end of it and decide I can be free of my addiction to spicy memes. That doesn't mean I'm not going to see them. I'm going to try to ignore them when people send them to me, or if I'm in a chat group where they're being tossed around. I'm just going to try to scroll through them as much as possible. But I'm not going to share any, and I'm not going to grab any. That is my goal. So, um, at some point, Easter will happen. No, that's not the part of Lent. Anyway, at some point, 40 days from now, I'll give you kind of an update on where things are. I do have another one that is a little bit more personal to me, part of my own personal growth um, that I'm going to commit to doing as well, and we'll see how that one goes as well. I'm probably not going to discuss specifically what I'm doing on that aspect, but I think one public and one private. That's I don't know. I've never done this before, so the other question that there is should you give something up for Lent? And that really comes down to you, right? You can treat this kind of as a New Year's resolution, or as a holy New Year's resolution, something that you should be a little bit more committed to. But don't get into it just because I would, or my recommendation would be, don't get into it if it's something that you're trying to do because it's trendy. Now, I'm kind of falling into that, but no, I think that there's more purpose. I think that if I'm going to talk about something, if I'm going to discuss something, if I'm going to be talking about Christian issues, Lent's a big part of that. And it's definitely a part that many people take very seriously. So if I'm going to discuss it and make it part of my program, maybe I should try to experience it. Maybe give it a try, give it a shot, and see if I feel like it benefits me in any way spiritually. And I think it will. I think it will. And that way, maybe I'll become a true believer in Lent, and I can mow better recommend it to other people. But at this point, I can say, and probably would be anyway, said, hey, look, this works for me. It works for other people. It helps us in our walk. So if you're looking for something new and you haven't tried it yet, by all means, look into it and see about and see if it benefits to you. Because anything that you do that will get you closer to Christ is obviously something worthwhile. And oftentimes, I think we can get very comfortable with our faith, and we can get in a rut, and that can keep us from trying new things that might better our faith and better our walk. Because you can say, I'm in a good place right now. I feel like I've got a good walk going on. I'm doing the right things, right? But you're still sinning every day. That's what we do. That's part of being a Christian. Now, is that part of that recognizing? Maybe the thing that you can improve is recognizing better what you're doing. Maybe it's having more patience, patience with other people, patience with God, patience with just life in general. Maybe it's prayer, maybe it's conversation with God, maybe it's just your overall attitude. There's many things that you can come across that you can think of that I just did right off the top of my head that is worth improving and that you can probably find room for improvement. It's a That's kind of the thing, right? You're going to go through peaks and valleys. Christianity is is a walk. And I know that that sounds cliche and it kind of is, but at the same time, I mean, there's so many things, there's so many different cliche things that you could point to by using that, but it's a walk. But it is, it's a walk like it's a lifestyle. It's part of what you're doing. We're all, and again, you'll hear me say this many times throughout as the show goes on. Um, Heaven is a place that we want as many people to make it as possible. And not everybody is, and that's the unfortunate thing. But our goal, one, is to get there, and two, is get as many people to come along with us as possible. That doesn't mean um, compromising your values, or I'm sorry, not compromising God's values. That means because if you start compromising God's fit values, that starts pulling you away from Him, as opposed to bringing people towards him. And that's what I said. People, part of the problem I think with Christianity today is that people are so often um, finding that Christianity, the Bible says one thing, but then the church says another thing because modernization, because of whatever reason, they find themselves saying, "Well, the Bible says this," and the church says, "Well, we're going to do this." Well, okay, when did you decide that? Well, we decided about 2 years ago that we needed to do this. You lose respect. Two things happen. Two things happen. Two things happen. One, people who truly are invested and looking to follow the word of God are going to lose respect for either the church or the faith as in general because we can't live up to the values that we're supposed to believe in. And if you can't trust a church to listen to be an expert on the Bible and be a astute follower of the Bible, then how can you trust them with anything else? Your spiritual essence, your spiritual being is very personal. And many people, it's very private. And so giving that, trusting somebody, even with a fraction of that part of you, is deeply personal. And if you decide that you can't trust or respect the institution or the people involved in that, you can quickly burn out or just get to the point where you're so frustrated you walk away. So, people who are really committed to doing the right thing and want really truly seeking, you can push them away, not just from the church, but from faith in general, because then you start questioning everything, you could easily start questioning everything. Two, people who really need to hear the word for what it is are not. They're instead convinced um, by the church, who's again supposed to be an expert in the Word of God. They are told what they want to hear, what makes them feel better, and it's not just something where they're picking and choosing things. That's something where they're being told by the church directly is okay. We have now changed what God has said, and so now we are intent, maybe not intentionally in a malicious sense, but we've intentionally led people astray where they could be confronted with the truth. Now it'll be up to them at that point to determine whether that truth is enough for them to make changes in their life or not. But if we don't give them that confrontation, if we don't bring them that word, where are you left? Where are you left? That's all. That's all kind of a digression from what I was trying to tell you about. Is about your if Lent is right for you. If you feel comfortable enough to do it, if you think that it's, and I'm not a person who can tell you how far into your faith you need to be to try it. It's really up to you to decide, or maybe you can talk to somebody else more learned than I. I can just tell you, I'm confident in my faith. I'm good in my faith. I love God. I love Christ with all of my heart. I now recognize that He is the one path to go through. Not once have I given something up for Lent. I'm going to do it this time because even after 39 years, and or we can say 32 years of conscious uh, Christian following, there's always some place I can improve, and maybe this giving Lent a try will be one of those things. And I've got a good feeling about it. So for me, spicy memes. One other thing, a little bit more personal to me, but the spicy memes is a good start because it's something that I know is a problem. I have a problem with, and that I probably should at least tone down a bit, if not get rid of altogether. It's hard. It's hard. Look, it's hard. We've all found ourselves laughing at things that we know we probably shouldn't be laughing at. It happens. It happens, and that's again, if you're new to this show, if you're newly subscribed, that's one of the things. Is it look accepting the fact that we are screwing up. We're screwing up daily, and like I said, I've got my laundry list of problems that I have that I run into on a daily basis. I get irritated with things. I get frustrated with people. I get frustrated with ideas. Like the whole kit and caboodle of life can be frustrating at times. But giving myself grace, having people and surrounding myself with people who also give me grace, but at the same time holding myself accountable and surrounding myself with people who hold me accountable. Sorry, I got itch in my nose. Hold me accountable. These are important things because that's a great reflection on what who God is a a fatherly figure looking down and giving me as much as time on earth as he's granting me to make sense of my faith in him. And while it's it's unwavering, I'm not talking about doubt free. It's unwavering in my commitment to him. It's not as committed as it could be, and it's not as committed as it should be. But it's up to him through Christ um, to make that okay in a way. I don't know. We'll get better theologians on who can discuss that with with you. That'll be better. So, um, we're looking up. We're running about a half hour, and that's a good chat. Um, so what do I have lined up? I don't have very much lined up right now. I had a guy I was looking at getting on that I've talked about. He wants to come on. We just haven't ironed out the details. He is a somewhat niche, popular Christian Twitter personality, but he gave up Twitter for Lent before we could give up. He gave up Twitter for Lent. We're going to go about 40 days before I can get back in touch with him um, to to schedule getting him on here. Unfortunately, he gave me his Discord name. He did not give me the numbers, the digits afterwards, so that doesn't help a whole lot. He's younger than me. The dude is a Zoomer. How is this? How is this kid not know that when you're on Discord and you give your name out to somebody, you got to give the digits? I know you have to give the digits. I'm 39 years old. Come on, guy. course, I've been messaging for longer than he's been alive. So still got something on these whippersnappers. Eric Rollon was going to be on next Tuesday. We're going to be right now. We've got nothing particularly planned to talk about. The thing project that we're working on is um, pastors pastors preaching their elves in a way, dumb things that pastors say, and so we're not going to limit that to pastors. We're going to limit that to any type of Christian influencer or organization, just saying or posting, doing something that really is a head scratcher. It could be cringy. It could just be flat out wrong. And one thing that me and Eric Roland like to talk about is the ways that we can improve the faith in general. So that's good. And then, as always, like we will have our biblical read throughs. We will be talking in Numbers 9, I think. Looking through real quick. Numbers 9 through, we'll probably do 9 through 11. So for tomorrow night, we'll do Numbers 9 through 11. If you can power through that, you can power through that. Chapter 12 in Numbers, that's where that narrative that we were getting in Genesis and Exodus really starts to get going again, because now we've spent Leviticus, almost all of Leviticus, and all of Numbers up to now, talking about basically the establishment and the rules that govern um, Israelite society from God, and we'll be going from there, and we'll be back into and really Leviticus and Numbers in the Bible are some of the hardest to get through because it's so difficult. It's so very dry. But if you read, it's one of those things where you got to study it, because not all, many of the rules still apply that are laid down in Leviticus still apply. Um, the Ten Commandments, of course, those are established in Exodus, but we go through this in Leviticus. The Ten Commandments are still around, and you know we just don't have to make all those offerings because Christ was the ultimate sin offering. Now, I'm belaboring the point, and I'm keeping you longer than I have to. With that said, everybody, if you're new to and newly subscribed, welcome and thank you once again to Eric Roland, my partner in crime here at A Flawed Man. You guys, welcome to the show. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night. God bless.